And at this time, I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Town Center Committee on Friday, May 13th, 2022. We're meeting here in the Thornton Room at the Town Hall, and we have a full quorum here today. We're missing two persons who have asked to be excused, namely Bill Cummings and Finley Rothaus. So I'll call the meeting to order at this time, and I will ask if anyone would like to take the minutes besides me. And if not, we'll move on to, first off, I'm going to, Bill will take them. Thank you, Bill. All right. And I'm going to introduce Mike one more time. He's a new member this month. He was appointed by the council, appropriate manner and so on, sworn in and all of that, and we're happy to have him on board. Michael is a former member of the Merrimack Planning Board. He's quite familiar with a lot of the things that we do here in town and have done. And he's also a proud owner of a new electric bicycle, which which isn't really a subject for our meeting, but it's fun to talk about. The first order of business this afternoon is approval of minutes for the meeting of April the 8th, which I distributed. I got some comments back, and I incorporated those as best I could. And I wonder if there's anybody who would like to make a motion to make any other changes or to approve the minutes as they are now configured. Do I see any?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Kyle has moved to approve the minutes of the 8th of April.
I'll second.
Oh, who said? Oh, Bill did. Oh, Mike did. Okay. Okay, Mike.
Mike is taking the minutes. I don't know if you're just making notes, Nelson, or...
I'm making notes in case he misses something.
Wow.
I always set myself up so for
That
the.
sounds like an engineer.
Yeah, well, you got to get there. Okay, that's very good. Thank you for that motion. And we'll begin our old business discussions with a status report on the Sahegan River Trail and where we are this week. And Kyle, I'll turn to you for help.
Thank you, Nelson. The project is moving along quite well. I think I mentioned at the last meeting the revised wetland application was submitted to New Hampshire DES.
Mm-hmm.
This is to accommodate the boardwalk that DES wanted to see in lieu of the causeway type construction across the wet meadows. So they've begun that review. We got notification this morning that that's underway. So that's good news. The formal NEPA document, that's the National Environmental Policy Act document that's required for submittal for all federal funded projects, has been submitted to DOT for their review.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it'll go on to Federal Highway for their review. Other than that, I would say there's going to be an update to the town council on May 26th
Uh-huh.
with some additional information that probably isn't appropriate to share just yet.
Okay. So they will be reporting to the town council.
I will be, yes.
You will be?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I hope there's some good news.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
right.
all good news.
You're not going to give us a bad surprise.
No.
Okay.
No, it largely revolves around the additional cost of the boardwalk and asking the council to approve that funding
Yeah,
and timeline of the project.
yeah.
So.
Okay, I'm all questions, but I won't spoil your parade.
Thanks.
No. And thank you for that. Questions for Kyle that are legal to ask at this point? I guess not. I see no one having to question that, and we'll move on then to the high school master plan,
Yeah.
which we got a report of. Received a memo this week from Matt Chevanel, and I did forward that to members of the committee, and we've got a nice printout here. These are all the same?
Yes. yeah.
Okay.
They're page 1, page 2.
Oh,
So-
got it, yes. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, this is a bigger version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything special you want to call out to us on this,
Well,
Matt?
Let's see, we had a meeting of the school district elected planning and building committee this past last Monday, and we went over this with them. And essentially, one of the key points that we're doing is looking at the raising of the red building, otherwise known as Brentwood, and getting rid of Brentwood Drive, or whatever the heck that was in the parking lot in front of Special Services, and doing a direct connect up to Woodbury Street. So that would be like a four-way little intersection, as opposed to having Brentwood being probably 50 yards upwind of that, and then just having to take a left and then a right away to go down to Brentwood.
Yeah.
There is a sidewalk in this area. It's going to be around 6 to 8 foot sidewalk, depending upon, how much land we can get out of it. We're going to push all the parking spaces back along DW Highway, as tight to the highway as we can get them, to accommodate that. Central office is going to be located where the skate park, former tennis courts used to be. That's on page 2.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, on page 2, where the sidewalk is in yellow, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the potential for doing turn lanes. I think Kyle had mentioned something about something on Babusick Lake Road, potentially being able to put a turn lane going in there. We'd like to widen the mouth of O'Gara up a little bit. So instead of just having two-way traffic going in, allowing turn lanes to get those people out of there who want to take a right and go down to Babusick Lake Road, the ability to do so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's some re-engineering that's going to be happening in that area also. So also, we're looking at, trying to make this aesthetically more pleasing to the eye. We'd like to bury all the utilities. We'd like to put in some nice lighting we have, as opposed to just telephone poles with those big inner city looking, bulbs on them. We have LEDs now, but we're going to continue LEDs. It's going to have the same kind of look and feel as Mastercola Elementary School parking lot that we did a couple of years ago, where we buried everything and then we put in like copper lightings, kind of bronze, and it looks really nice and it's illuminated really well. As the middle school, when you drive up Madeline Bennett, you don't see any utilities overhead because everything's underground.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a nice approach. O'Gara is not a nice approach. We want it to be a nice approach into the high school. We want it to be the main approach into the high school. So that's where we're coming from right now. Probably, step one would be to, do a really good survey of the area, what Steve is going to do in the next couple of months. Make these plans workable. Run them, obviously, once they get to be a workable fashion, run them by Kyle to see how he feels about that little connection with Woodbury Street, because that is a little bit different than what we were talking about. But what it does is it gets rid of the amount of asphalt jungle that we have over here out in front of the high school. You see a couple of tennis courts there. That's a to be determined on the front page. That's something that may or may not happen. It may just be a play area, a practice area. We may create a field out of that, cut the pavement, loam and seed it, cut all the trees in that acre of land that we own, because that's around almost a 2-acre parcel right there that you're looking at. So it has some possibilities, but we were thinking tennis courts, but we may not put tennis courts there. In talking with the athletic director, Michael Susi, When they have games and practices, they have to utilize around 7 tennis courts, and Wasserman Park seems to be the logical choice for them to go. 4 doesn't seem to get him enough that he needs,
Yeah.
so why build 4? If they're not gonna be appropriate for the high school use and
Yeah.
everything like that, why not continue to use the assets that we have, which is Wasserman Park, and then make that a practice area or something, because we're always in Merrimack in need of field space, in need of practice space, in need of gym space, in need of anything athletic space.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the beginnings of it, and the conversations will continue. And at some point, I'm going to invite Mr. Keach to join you at the table when we get to another iteration of this. But in the meantime, if you have any thoughts or any kind of, suggestions along the way, feel free to just individually shoot me an email. You all know my email address, and
Yeah.
I'd be happy to field those. So it's just for your information right now.
Good.
And the one thing is, it looks like we're decreasing the number of parking spaces, but we're not. We've got like 600 spaces now. We're gonna have 600 spaces after this,
Yeah.
so.
Is that enough?
Is that enough? Well, for event parking, it's never enough, but
Yeah.
for day-to-day, it's more than enough.
Yeah.
And that little patch that's become the unofficial, non-permitted student driver access lot, we are going to think about doing something with that, because that can be useful for those who are attending the JV baseball games and the girls softball games that are right on Babusick Lake Road, that little field right there. So that could be a nice area for them to park also, in addition to the back lot at Mastercola Elementary School. So-
I'm not sure where you are
Now,
there.
if you go to page 2,
That's what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you go to page 2 and you see on the bottom left-hand corner, you
Yes.
see that asphalt, that's a parking lot we did years ago for Mastercola Elementary School in the back. We expanded what was there originally.
Yeah.
And then you see that dirt little island over there.
Yeah.
That's the unofficial, non-permitted high school parking area.
Ooh.
So we may do something with that to clean it up. You can even see the track of an entryway going down into it. So they've made their own little kind of traffic pattern. We should stripe the dirt for them or something. But that's the way it is right now. But we're looking at
Yeah.
doing something a little more formal with that, because it can be utilized for the field. And then when you go down to central office, you see 24 spaces. Well, in the evening, if there's a varsity baseball game, because that's what you're looking at, the field right over here, that's the varsity baseball field. A home run is on top of up the upper elementary school roof.
On the
That's a
roof?
home run, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have had one kid actually reach that building. It's quite a poke from home plate.
Yeah.
So, the 24 spaces there, I want to talk to Steve about perhaps adding some overflow that can be utilized for the game. I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's in the discussion phase right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about a green monster?
Green Monster, that'd be awesome, yeah. It'd be nice to have, but you can't, because this is lacrosse too.
Yeah.
If you could have an actual fence for the outfield as opposed to
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Oh,
kid
yeah,
running on right and left field that just keeps going to the street and the police station, then it's
Yeah.
a home run, right?
Yeah.
But that can't happen because of the mixed utilization of those areas,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And there's a fence there right now. There's a chain link fence all around that.
Yeah, the whole area has a
Yeah.
chain link, and then
Yeah.
the part that's right in front of the police department has a, I don't know, 20-foot high netting that's there. I forget exactly. I drive by
Yeah.
it every single day, but
Yeah.
there is a net there
Yeah.
to try and stop any foul balls from
That's foul balls from the
softball
softball field.
field, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's a beginning. It's a beginning.
All right. Well, it looks like a great beginning to me. Questions will open. Let's have any discussion anybody wants to make, and then I'll jump in. Michael?
Yeah, I'll just add, you're showing with this wide or thick yellow line, that's assumed sidewalk?
Yes,
right?
correct. Yeah.
And as far as just kind of biking access and biking parking, is that still gonna be down in front or by the entrance? I know there's some space down there. for-
Yeah, there's a bicycle rack, there's also motorcycle parking down there too.
Okay,
And so, yeah, it'd be located in the same place.
okay.
Yeah.
Where is that? The bike?
It's towards the front of the building, kind of where that big thick walkway is, off to the right.
Where it
Yeah.
says 29 spaces?
Yes,
Got
yes,
it.
I believe so. It's right across from the old main entrance. That's where the motorcycle, and there's like a cement pad there.
Yeah.
You really can't see it well here.
Yeah.
But we'll accommodate something for that.
Just to, so the timeline, and is this gonna be a warrant article?
Not for this year. The
Well-
only thing,
No, but I mean,
not for.
what is the timeline for this whole plan? and
Well,
what-
this is,
and will
it's
it
all,
be
it's
a
all,
wa-
it's all dependent upon how fast or slow the school board wants to go on this. We've been talking, we've been thinking at the part up here where the traffic redistribution could go, where the hookup of,
Woodbury?
Woodbury, in the new parking lot configuration. That'd be kind of a phase one alongside with the demolition of Brentwood and the demolition of the Blue House, the Special Services House. Central office can still stand while this is going on, but this would have to be done in the summertime. But the first step in this is getting the funds to take down the Red House and to get that clear. And then step two would be
Yeah.
this portion up front, which would be a summer, that can be knocked out perhaps in the summertime, because we only have a short window of opportunity as far as construction build. So this could be a 5-year plan till the last piece, which would be the building of the new central office, and then the takedown of the old central office, unless, someone wants to put us up at their homes for a year or so, that'd be. Or maybe Kyle has some room down at
Nick's
his
got
end.
some room right back there.
Nick's got some room, yeah, that'd be awesome, right, Nick? You and I, we could share a desk,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's around about a five-year plan,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah,
Maybe even longer, depending.
yeah. I think we were all interested, or at least I was interested in getting that O'Gara Drive
Right.
piece, and that probably is not first on your list, as you say.
No.
These other things probably are higher priority.
Yeah, Steve's working on a timeline for
Yeah.
this, what dominoes have to fall, but that's what we've kind of talked about, which is the first one that has to happen.
And nothing's what was on the warrant this year, like
No.
demolition of the
No.
Red House? No.
The budget committee did put $10 in a line item in our operating budget for the demolition of Brentwood.
Yeah,
So we have $10.
so it's like a placeholder, don't
It
forget
is,
this?
it is a placeholder, yes, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
This is great to see. It looks like the traffic pattern is changing quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right now, in front of the school, it's two-direction
Correct.
traffic, and this looks like it's only going to
It's
be
one direction.
one way. So you'll have to pay real careful attention how you're going to do that. And I wonder if the road opposite Woodbury needs to be wider to accommodate it. And it's already confusing on this exhibit. You notice the opposing arrows.
Yes,
South of
one of those
Woodbury.
arrows has to go away, yeah,
Right.
correct, yeah.
And
I knew you were gonna find that one, we've
Right.
already have, but,
well, and I think coming
Yeah.
around the bus loop, it'd probably be better not to maybe get rid of both of those arrows
yeah,
and have all traffic that comes down McElwain either take a left on Woodbury or a right on your new road.
that's,
Because if you bring them partway down, then they're gonna get stuck and confused.
see, I've just kinda inked that arrow out, and I knew you were gonna see that, so, what we would probably do is the only people who would travel down there would be, well, of course, the buses to start the loop, and then the maintenance people, because that's where their building is. So they would travel down, all other traffic, once they get to that part, would more than likely take a right-hand turn to go down Woodbury Street Extension. That's kind of what we're calling it right now.
Is there any way to have the bus loop go the other direction?
The opposite way?
I just think if you let the buses go past Woodbury Street, that's gonna be confusing for other cars, and you're gonna get a lot of confusion in that area.
Yeah,
So having everybody go the same pattern is typically better.
okay,
Um,
that's a very good suggestion. So we'll put that on the plate.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Because we have talked about that a few times, we've gone back and forth, but, yeah, it's good to hear it's being set out in the open as opposed to just, in little meetings here and there. Hey, how about if we reverse the traffic pattern and see what that would look like? So I appreciate that.
Good, well, thank you, Matt. We've been looking for this for a while, and I'm happy
I know
to
you
see it.
have, yeah.
I was happy to see it at last. Other questions or comments from the committee? If not, we can move on. Today, we've got, we've got this, and, now, Bill was getting at, the next steps in this. You're gonna have your own committee reviews and probably some revisions to this. And so maybe we'll have something in next year's warrant?
Yeah,
Is that-
perhaps,
Yeah,
perhaps.
perhaps. Yeah.
Perhaps, no, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's vague enough.
Vague enough.
Okay, thank you, Matt, that's good to see. Next item on our agenda is is what's new on our TCC Facebook page. Nick?
The Town Center Committee's Facebook page is doing well. We're up 20 followers since our last meeting. So we're approaching 500 followers. It'd be great to cross that threshold. So if you want to share something from that page on your personal page, that'd be great. This morning I had reposted the Join the Town Center Committee video that we
Yeah.
had done a few months back. And that's about all I have as far as the Facebook page goes, and I know I'm at the other end of the agenda on
Yeah.
new business with videos.
Yeah.
So, but I want to welcome Mike to the committee.
Uh-huh.
If you don't like the Facebook page, please like and subscribe. It'd be great. And if there's any sort of updates that the board would like to get out today or next week, it'd be great to have some additional content on there. But we'll talk more about content on the other end of this agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Nick right now on this subject? We are going to come back to Nick when we talk about videotaping the town center. But let's talk about Route 3 Babusick Brook Bridge. I received a letter from Chris Rainey, which I sent to everyone, that shows a concept for a bridge reconstruction on Route 3. And I have some comments, but I'll let Kyle talk first on this.
Sure. Thank you, Nelson. So the US 3 bridge project is moving along quite well. Kind of recapping where we're at, you'll recall we had that funding gap that the town council approved funds to try to go after federal FEMA brick funding. As we did the analysis, we determined that we would not be a good candidate for that program, and we had to step back and find other possibilities. And through discussions with DOT and NHD Department of Safety and our consultant, we're now pursuing the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. And I think I gave you that update last time. So we've submitted our notice of intent to file an application for that. The application is due June 1st. So our consultant is busy working on that. As part of that, the NEPA documentation has to be complete. And that's where the letter that you received and other stakeholders in the town have received. Planning board received one, town council, town manager, and many others.
Yeah.
So what those letters are is it's part of the stakeholder outreach that's required for federal projects. And it's always a good idea for any project, frankly,
Yeah,
to give the opportunity for any stakeholders to express concerns about the project or express support for the
Yeah.
project.
yeah,
So that's what form the letter, if you choose to write one, would look like. It'd be
Mhm.
either, challenges, being a proponent, or both.
yeah.
Whatever you
Mhm.
care to put in the letter. Obviously, the submittal, like I said, is due June 1st.
Dude, you're right. So-
Timeliness is a key.
We have to answer
Yep.
today, yeah,
And I'm going to be speaking to this again on the 26th to Town Council
yeah.
for their proposed letter.
Uh-huh,
So that'll be coming up there as well. So I mentioned also at the last meeting the possibility of combining projects
yes.
with the
which
Wire Road.
doesn't show on this,
It-
yeah.
Correct. So that's still moving forward. The hazard mitigation funds can only be used for the bridge project. So the
Yeah.
exhibit that Christian had sent out kind of shows the new limits of the bridge project only.
Only,
Because what we need to be able to show is a benefit cost analysis, a benefit cost ratio of 1.0 or greater. Meaning the benefit to the project has to be greater than or equal to the cost of the project.
mhm,
And the benefits of the project are anywhere from properties getting flooded to detours during floods. And for this project, the big driver of the benefit is, should we get a 100-year flood currently, the
Mm.
Effie Everett Turnpike would be closed down because flooding would overtop the turnpike. And the detour accordingly would be tremendous for
Yeah.
the 60,000 cars a day or 70,000
Yeah.
cars, whatever they have. So that was the big benefit. Once our project is completed, the channel's going to be opened and the turnpike will no longer flood at the 100-year flood. So that's
That'd be
why we're
nice.
eligible for these
That'd be
funds
nice.
and why we're a really good candidate for these funds.
Yeah.
But like I said, when we were going through the brick process, which is just a different pot of
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
still with FEMA, the project as a whole, because of the approach work and the utility work and everything else that goes along with the project, we couldn't meet the 1.0 benefit cost ratio.
No? Oh,
By stripping it down to just the bridge
we just-
and the detour road, which is what you see on the exhibit that
Yeah.
Christian sent,
yeah.
and I have copies if anyone wants to see it.
Okay, I think I gave.
Did you
Yeah,
give copies to
he printed
everyone?
one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So by stripping it down just to the bridge project
yeah,
and this June submittal, we're at that 1.0.
yeah,
So we have a decent chance
yeah.
of getting some of that funding, which would be great. It would save both the state and the town money, and it would bridge that funding gap
Yeah.
that we've had, that $2 million funding gap
Yeah,
that otherwise the town would have to fund solely at this point.
yeah,
So that's all moving forward. The combination of the projects is still happening as well, kind of parallel.
yeah,
The consultant is working with so the bridge consultant is still doing the bridge.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be the prime consultant for the intersection work,
mhm,
but we have a sub-consultant working on that specializes in traffic and
yeah,
intersection kind of work. So they've sent me a proposal, a fee proposal draft, a couple days ago. Haven't had a chance to review it yet, but that's gonna move forward as well. And again, the idea is by next year to catch up the intersection project design-wise
yeah,
to where the bridge project is.
yeah.
But we have these two
Yeah,
time tracks
Yeah,
really set by the HMGP grant. So
yeah,
that's why they're kind of running parallel to each other right now and not totally together.
yeah. Well, what I gather from this letter that I received from our consultant, they just want a response to this
Correct.
particular thing.
Yep,
and not-
exactly right.
Not
Nothing else. Do not mention Wire Road.
Don't mention
That
it.
is not
Okay.
part of it. Right. For FEMA's perspective, it's just the bridge.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But it's hard to resist mentioning.
It's
the
hard
Wire
to
Road.
resist.
It is.
I know what you're saying, because
It
first
is.
thing I'm looking is Wire Road.
But
Yeah.
again, the benefits of the bridge are improved pedestrian connectivity because there will be sidewalks on both sides of the bridge. It's going to open the channel to reduce flooding
Yeah,
hazards. Both properties in and around there, the backwater,
and the Effie
uh,
Everett.
backflow, and certainly the turnpike.
Yeah,
It's going to create a safer path for vehicles to travel.
yeah.
Anyone who drives past there knows the guardrail is substandard,
Yeah.
and
Very, yeah.
there's not a whole lot of terrain holding the guardrail up, frankly.
There's no room to
Um,
walk outside the
And there's no
guardrail.
room to walk outside the guardrail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would
those
think,
are the benefits you really want to focus on
Mhm.
in your letter,
you know, I would
if you
think
choose to
from,
write one.
from a pure safety perspective, I mean, that bridge is already always given me cause to pause, literally, you know, when I see a bunch of kids with bicycles and stuff going on that bridge and traffic going back and forth. It's tough because there is no room there.
That's right.
Literally, there is no room there.
Yep.
No,
And you're
That's
right
correct.
about the guardrail kind of listing off into the, you know, towards the Merrimack River. Yeah, correct, yeah, so
yeah.
it's good. It's gonna be a good project, Kyle. Thank you.
The hazard mitigation funds, is that through federal highway or through FEMA?
It's through FEMA.
FEMA, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And where normally the fund is about, I forget, a couple $100,000 a year that Department of Safety gets to spend. This year, they've had an infusion of funds from ARPA funding to add to this program. So normally, they wouldn't be able to fund a project of this size. But because of the additional ARPA funding this year, or IIJA, actually, I'm sorry, they have an opportunity to maybe help us out with this project. And the other big difference between HMGP and BRIC is nationally competitive, so we'd be competing against Boston. The HMGP funds are state competitive, so we're only competing against projects in the state.
Okay. And then, what you were saying before about the 100-year flood for the FE Turnpike, so that would occur on the Turnpike, but would it also occur at this bridge location?
It would not occur at this bridge location.
When do you,
So the.
oh, your mic on. Is your mic on?
It is on, yep. Can you hear me?
You
Can
okay?
hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? No. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
I can hear that. I don't know why it's not. I'm trying. Oh, that's a little bit of
Oh, I
maybe
can
there.
hear it
Yeah,
better
when you
now.
get a little bit closer, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go.
So just trying to understand. So the flooding would occur on the Turnpike, not at this bridge location. However, going back to the letter, the mitigation that we're trying to, if that was to occur, there would be just an unprecedented demand on Daniel Webster Highway in this crossing, and that's what this mitigation would resolve.
Right, and although in the 100-year flood, it would not flood at the bridge location, there are spots north of the bridge that would flood over. So Daniel Webster would also be closed
Right.
in the 100-year flood condition.
Okay.
We're focusing just here, but as we looked at the analysis, there's flooding north on Daniel Webster as well,
Okay.
which could potentially close the road. So both north-south routes would be currently closed in a 100-year flood condition.
Do you recall back, like in the Mother's Day storms and that sort of, were there conditions that we saw some of that?
So the turnpike did not overtop,
Okay.
but the water, and we have pictures of this that will be submitted as part of the packet. DOT provided them to us. The water was up to the base of the guardrail posts
Oh.
at the edge of the turnpike, and that was it's been classified about a 75-year storm, so it was not a 100-year
Right.
storm in 06 or 07.
Right. It was just lengthy. It was just, you know,
Correct,
over
yeah.
many hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
days, yeah.
I remember that period quite well.
It's like
Was
7 inches of
the-
rain. or
The
something.
roadway was still passable, right? The bridge?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, because I remember coming in and, yeah. it
We
was
had a
still-
number of roads
It was
closed.
really
Road 3 was
high.
not closed.
Yeah, Bedford Road was under, there's a lot of them that were under,
Right.
that have since been corrected, you
Yeah,
know?
the Chamberlain Bridge, the arch was full.
Yeah,
You may recall that.
yeah.
But it did not overtop Daniel Webster.
Which I was
that storm.
waiting for that, and I was surprised it didn't happen, but it was, you know,
We had a number of other roads that were,
correct, yeah.
but not this one.
Because that was one of the main things why we had to close school for so long. We couldn't get buses around, number one.
Right.
And then with the power outages, and then after the floods receded, that's the time where you can have sinkholes, so we were advised by the fire chief at the time, you wait a little bit before you start running, you know, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wire Road and Bedford Road were both very much impacted.
yeah.
In fact, I remember Bedford Road was closed.
Yes, it was,
Because that got washed away,
right,
just west of the bridge. Again, the bridge was higher than where the water crossed the road.
yeah.
And, so it took about 2 weeks to get that one back open.
Right.
We have
Didn't
we
the
have video.
construction of those bridges help that
It did.
situation? And moved it down to the turnpike?
Well, it didn't move it so
Yeah.
much. Every bridge we've done, so we did the Wire Road, these are all Babusick Brook crossings.
Yeah,
We did Wire Road in 2012. Prior to that, the Bedford Road crossing next to
Yeah.
Joppa Road was done.
yeah,
That was back in like 2008, I think.
yeah,
Since then, we've done the Bean Road pipe
yeah,
and McGaw Bridge Road.
yeah,
And each of those instances, the channel has been widened to accommodate the proper channel width.
yeah,
But they're all still affected
yeah,
by this bridge. In
Yeah.
fact, when we did McGaw Bridge Road Bridge, we got a design exception, because the DOT requirement is you construct the lowest portion of the beams has to be 1 foot above the
Oh.
50-year flood,
yeah,
which generally accommodates the 100-year flood.
yeah,
In that case, we got a design exception not to design it to that level because we knew we were doing this project. And once we do this, McGaw will
down.
will meet standard.
Yeah,
Today, it does not,
yeah,
even though it's
Yeah.
been reconstructed. And that's in our report as well,
yeah,
that currently
Yeah.
in the 100-year flood, the McGaw Bridge would be underwater.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. that
Listen, I mean, I would go so far as to say that recommend that we do write a letter of support for this project and helping for this mitigation funding.
Okay, I will take that as a motion.
Yes, I'll make a
Yeah,
motion to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Karen, second. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess just to not modify, but to further the motion, just that we are in favor,
Yeah.
and that for the, it would remedy the hazards that have been outlined here today, specifically the 100-year flooding issues,
Yeah.
as well as the safety issues. We talked about pedestrian and biking access, which again ties back to our charter, which we feel is very critical for this corridor.
Right. There was one thing that anybody, we've got to take a vote on that. I think we have a motion made and seconded. Are we all,
I have a question.
yes?
Does the expanded bridge, the 125-foot bridge that they proposed to build, does that encroach on what is now MYA property?
So the detour bridge certainly does. You see the kind of pinkish
Yes.
line?
Yes.
During the project, we're going to have a 2-lane detour bridge to accommodate the Daniel Webster traffic. Once the project is done, it really won't encroach on the MYA property
Okay.
any more than it currently does, with the exception, and again, this is a separate project, the Wire Road intersection
Okay.
project, where our intent is to create a 4th leg at that intersection. So it'll be the 2 Daniel Webster legs, Wire Road, and a new entrance into and out of the MYA facility.
Okay, that's
And,
interesting.
and the purpose of that is, the current ingress and egress, has challenges.
Definitely.
It comes up that hill. If you want to take a left to go south out of the MYA facility during heavy traffic times, the traffic from the Babusick Lake Signal queues back beyond the entrance,
Yeah.
making it very difficult to take
Yeah.
that left-hand movement. So what we do with the current entrance, maybe we make it entrance only, maybe, maybe right turn out of it. We're not sure yet. That's what the Wire Road intersection study will show.
Okay.
That'll be part of the Wire Road project. But that will have impact to the MYA property.
Okay,
And it kind of been a long-term plan to do something like that. If you've been to the facility, you know
Yeah.
that the actual, what we call the front entrance, looks like it's in the back, but that's where the accessible entrance is, the ramps and whatnot. So it would actually make it more appropriate for the way the facility is set up.
thank you.
I have one question. This pink road comes right through Parkland, and maybe some taking. I don't know if anything to the north of the brook, if that land belongs to us or someone else. And it occurred to me that if you made the alternate route over McGraw Bridge Road, come down through Wire Road and that way, made that or at least the southbound lane, that you could make this lane smaller or non-existent, and that it would be a better way. I mean, it's a temporary thing, but it seemed to me it would be better than destroying all of that land and all the rebuilding and a bridge building and all of that. There's be some considerable money involved in saving if you use the McGraw Bridge Road as the bypass.
Yep, and we did consider that
Yeah.
during the feasibility study, and it was determined that the geometry of McGaw Bridge Road wasn't conducive to, A, the volume of traffic, but B, the type of traffic. Think the semi-trailers and large kind of trucks having to navigate that corridor.
Yeah.
And to make that left turn McGaw onto Wire, and then back onto Daniel Webster, it would be a challenging route for some of the larger vehicles.
Yeah.
In addition to the impact of the neighborhood, putting
Well, yeah.
16,000 cars a day directly adjacent to that neighborhood is also an impact that we
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah.
And it was determined that despite the cost, that this was the better alternative.
Yeah. Okay. it could-
And you're right, there will be takings,
Yeah.
temporary easements
Yeah.
to accommodate the detour road.
Yeah.
They will be just temporary over on the, on that side, on the east side of the bridge of Daniel Webster, there's 2 private parcels.
Yeah. Okay.
That we'll have
I
to
thought
work with.
thought it would be. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when we had the public hearings many months ago, one of the parcel owners did come to the meeting, so they've given their input
Yeah.
as well already. We can't enter into negotiations until we get into
Yeah.
final design.
Yeah.
We have to follow the federal prescriptive procedure for how to do these kind of things. But certainly it will be an impact to their property.
Yeah.
But in some cases, their property is going to be better for the project. You see kind of the purple area,
Yes.
the purple area, kind of where it overlays the pink area. If you look in that direction as you're traveling north over the bridge, you can see the large amount of washout that's occurred.
Collapsing.
It has,
yeah,
and that happened between the 06 and 07 floods.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of the project is we're gonna, stop that,
Yeah.
because we're going to reduce the velocity of the brook through the
Through the
structure.
bridge. Yeah.
We're also gonna, fix that slope
Yeah,
and, bring it back to where it was.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that's a benefit enough to the property owner that they're agreeable to
Yeah.
the temporary easements.
yeah.
But that's something we'll have to discuss later.
yeah, yeah. Okay, is it worth our mentioning that in this letter of agreement and approval, suggesting going through McGraw Bridge Road, or should we not even
I
bring
mean,
it up?
that's up to you. I'm gonna abstain from the vote just because, I'm project side of
Too
this.
many hats, yeah.
But, I mean, that's up to you. That was kind of vetted out in the feasibility study
Yeah,
process,
Yeah.
which is concluded.
yeah.
But if you feel it's
Okay.
important to bring up, feel free.
Well, if,
I gotta believe the neighbors would go nuts over that, the neighborhood, based on the volume of traffic.
well, I thought about that too, and I figured, yeah, they're,
I don't know what kind of, what the legal issue is, but, I mean, that's a pretty.
it is
there's
very
quite a few
constrained.
houses in there, and they're also,
Right.
closer, fairly close to the road
They're
and everything
right
else.
close to the road, I agree, and I know the discussions, let's say, we had when Dunkin' Donuts went in there. There was quite a bit of opposition to Dunkin' Donuts and the post office, for that matter. They didn't want, and that's why those fences are there. They're sort of screened. If you notice, most of that land is screened with a fence, and there's some plantings that aren't doing too well, but it was an attempt to mollify that.
Wouldn't it be better just to stick with kind of this kind of plan, just like,
That's what I'm hearing,
like
but I
Kyle
wanted
said-
to
Kyle
put,
said, stay with the bridge, just supporting this bridge and the improvements to the bridge in the letter, rather than try to throw out, the possibility of a different
that's
detour.
what I'm getting from this group. But I wanted to put it on the table, because it looked to me obvious as an alternative, as a cost saving. You don't have to building a whole bridge and all that road and then restoring the land, taking all the trees out of there.
Right.
There's a lot of,
No, it's a really great question. One other
Yeah.
piece that I didn't mention that we considered as well is anytime you detour traffic off of a business route, there can be damages to the businesses. Think of, Dunkin' Donuts, Tractor Supply, Sal's Plaza. Now you've got 16,000 cars for 2 years that aren't going in front of their doors. And that can be an impact to businesses
Yeah.
as well, that they can seek damages
Yeah.
for.
Okay, I think I have
We
my
might damage
guidance.
the road too. right?
What?
Yeah, McGaw Bridge.
For sure.
yeah.
We might
Yeah.
damage
Yeah.
that road and have
For
to
sure.
do some
Yeah.
rework on that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Cause
Okay,
that's not built for semis,
it
right?
is not.
I got it. I'll draft a letter and let you all see it before I send it, and it'll go out before the 1st of June. So,
I just had one quick question.
Yeah.
Nelson, it was just that comment I made in the email about the line of sight from Twin Bridge Road, and whether or not this temporary bridge will slow the traffic down or not. Because right now, if you try to make a left,
oh yeah.
and you try to get on to Daniel Webster to go south, right? When they come off of that light and they come around this corner, the grade dips down towards the bridge and it accelerates everybody over 40 miles an hour. I do it. And I have to quickly, adjust my speed because you're exceeding the speed limit. And what I find though is that the distance between they get around that corner and start adjusting their speed and me trying to pull out can be very precarious at times.
From Twin Bridge.
Yeah. And if there's people who are not decreasing their speed and just accelerating, now I'm in a bind, So I do have some visibility to avoid that now. This, I think, completely eliminates that. But maybe the tree clearing solves that. Like I said, those are just some initial thoughts, but I don't know how far you're going to go with the tree clearing down to Twin Bridge Road and make that line of sight visible for cars turning left southbound.
Yeah, so those kind of details will be brought up in final design, but I'll certainly mention it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I think during construction, hopefully cars will go slower. You know, there'll be plenty of orange signs
Yeah.
letting everyone know that there's work going on and change in traffic
Yeah.
patterns, so hopefully that slows people down.
And like when we did the temporary bridge on Bedford Road, right?
Right.
That just that experience. It's an open graded bridge. It slows you down anyway. So I'm kind of thinking that it solves itself. But we do have some trucks still coming out of that quarry down there, and all of that can be complex if we've got some
Absolutely
speeders in
right.
there on a
Yeah.
weekend or something. You know.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those inputs. And I will, as I say, draft a letter and get it out to you for review. We're ready for new business. We're running a little short on time here.
Did you want to take a vote on that, Nelson?
Oh, I thought we
Because I'm
did.
going to abstain from that one.
Yeah, okay. We have a motion made and seconded that I should send this letter agreeing with and approving this particular change.
The second was Karen. Did you?
Yes,
You did, right?
yeah. Karen Contos, and I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? Aye. 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 Michael's aye. We're all in favor. So
With
that's
one abstention.
well, you're going to abstain?
No, he is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. There's 3, 6, 7 in favor, and 1 abstaining.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Good catch, Bill. Okay. Last time we had a discussion of updating the map, and I was tasked to go the map for the handout. You know, for the town of Merrimack Town Center pedestrian sidewalk, trail and sidewalk master plan. And the question was, should we do something with this map? And this was an NRPC created map that was created as part of the iTrack program. What we talked about was updating it to show what we've actually accomplished here and make a little more highlight of that. I discussed it with the NRPC, and they think, oh, it's a great idea. So they were very much in favor, and they think we can do it on our funding, as part of our regular services from NRPC. And so we don't have to go back to the council and get money, which is, you know,
I mean, do they have the it's on the computer and the I mean, they can just edit it?
well, yes, I think. I'm not sure exactly the status of it, but they have the people there who worked on it. In fact, Camille Pattison, who actually headed up the iTrack group, is now recently rejoined the NRPC, and she'd love to work it and tweak it up and fix it up. So if there's still the wish of the board, of the committee, we could go ahead and have them update this and see what comes of that, and see if we can do it. They wanted to do the study all over again, and I thought that would maybe be too big of a project, and that might involve the town council if we did the study over. I don't think there's much that would change in the study. It's pretty much everything what's there is there, and we've completed a few little pieces of this, and we'll add that to our completed list over here, as we did before. So I wanted to feed everybody that information. If it's still okay, it's still something we'd like to do, I will empower them to go ahead and make this change. And maybe we can get it done for the 4th of July, which would be a nice thing to have.
You want me to make a motion, or?
You could make a motion that
Okay.
will solidify this, yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll make a motion to have Nelson work with NRPC to update the map to show what we've accomplished to
Yeah.
date.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Bill Wilkes. Discussion? All in favor? All were in favor. And, yes, 7, 8. Thank you. That, we just move on from that. And I wanted to get the latest inputs from Nick on the town center videotaping. If we can, I know you had given me at the end of the last meeting an outline of things you were thinking about, and I think I commented back to you with several other things I wanted to add to that for things to videotape in the town center. And specifically, I thought things like the Twin Bridge Park should get some tape in there, and maybe the businesses as well.
That's
And,
right.
if we highlight the importance of some of these businesses to our community, such as Tractor Supply and the Connell Center and the Rite Aid, and that sort of thing.
Sure, we have to be a little bit careful relative to businesses though, because there are a lot of businesses within the town center. So we can't necessarily highlight one or three specific businesses. So
Yeah,
when we say businesses, it does have to kind of be broad in scope.
yeah,
And obviously, it can't look like we are asking people, to solicit and patron those businesses as
Yeah.
much as we want to. We just have to be careful because it is community TV, and the community
Yep.
TV portion of this needs to be commercial free.
yeah,
It's a little bit different with creating content for our social media pages, but specifically the community TV portion. So in terms of businesses, it has to be a little bit broad, and
Yeah.
I don't want to highlight any one business over another.
yeah,
But we will try to, capture the essence that there are businesses thriving down there, and that,
yeah,
obviously part of the town center is patroning those businesses, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
So it's kind of like showing that they exist, they're there, without it necessarily a call to action.
without it being advertising.
Sure.
Yeah, I understand.
But obviously, it's gonna be highlighted in the video
Yeah.
that there are businesses
Yeah.
down there. So I'm working with Colin, our part-time media assistant, on this. So it's primarily gonna be Colin and I who are drafting this video. We've already talked about what we want included. The overall theme to it is connect to Merrimack's Town Center, because the thing that we really want to highlight, and this came at the suggestion of Kyle Fox, is we want to show just how connected all these different parts of the town center are. And in addition to that, the idea of connecting the recreational, literal connection between the trails that lead to the different parts of the town center, but then also figuratively, connecting those recreational aspects to the commercial aspects,
Yeah,
and the different town buildings that are here as well. The list includes Watson Park, Twin Bridge Park, Wildcat Falls, the roundabout, the high school and the fields and different parts of the high school. Talked about businesses, and then obviously the town buildings, the library, town hall, the adult community center. One thing that I was thinking about, and Colin just finished 2 different projects for the Department of Public Works, so now this video is becoming priority. And part of me is thinking that we want to also include kind of an overview of the town center. So kind of take the video we had about the town center committee and include that part in there as well, that the town center committee essentially kind of governs, what is Merrimack's Town Center. And that's generally
What do
it.
you mean by
but the-
that? Can you, when you say that the town center committee governs,
Oversees,
oversees?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I mean.
yeah.
This
we-
is
we really
more or
don't
less
govern.
I guess, this is the advisory bot. This
Right.
is
Yes.
an advisory board
Right,
to that's what I should say.
yeah,
Is this
Acts-
advisory to the town council?
Yes,
yes,
Okay.
yes.
yeah,
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the record as saying
Right.
no,
that we
Exactly.
govern the town center. No, that this board is works as an advisory board to the town council.
yeah,
But also, I mean, this is, the video is primarily to just let people know where the town center is and all the different things that they can do down there. We were waiting for nicer weather. The weather's finally nicer.
You
I think
got
it's
it.
gonna stay above 60 degrees, hopefully, from now until well, probably August, but we're going to be shooting some footage over the next couple weeks and finishing this video alongside the Woodbury sidewalk before and after video. So those are the two videos that we have on our plate right now. And I'm hoping to have something to show at our next meeting in June.
Okay,
Good.
good. Okay,
And if
thank
anyone
you.
wants to be in any of these videos, just let me know.
He'll be in it. He'll be in it. Get your crew out there.
I've twisted Kyle's arm before to be in a video, so maybe.
Good. Thank you, Nick. That's good, all good news. The next item that I wanted to talk about a little bit was what we want to do for supporting the 4th of July activities. Back in the day, one year or other, back when we had a tent, we had a little handout booth, which at the Midway for the town center committee. We haven't done it since COVID, and we don't have the tent anymore because the floods own the tent, and they're no longer.
Well, Peter would let us use it, but I'm not aware of us having a Midway this year, Nelson, but we are gonna
There
have,
may not be one yet.
there is gonna be a Rotary pancake breakfast, and there's gonna be the 4th of July Sparkler Road Race.
Yeah,
So if we wanna do something at the Rotary pancake breakfast, Bob Best is, you know Bob,
Oh, yeah.
obviously.
yeah.
He's
He's-
kinda
he's
heading
got
up, he's adding up the breakfast, and I'm involved too, so we could have a table, if we have the new map, we could have some map
Yeah.
handouts, at that breakfast. And,
Okay.
I mean, there's a fair amount of people that attend that, so,
Yes,
Um,
and this booth always gets a lot of attention at things like that. So I think the Rotary Breakfast is a good way to do it. You're not out in the heat of the day, and you get a lot of people through there.
it's like
And
8
we
o'clock
always
till
educate.
11. I think the open hours are 8 till 11,
Yeah, okay.
maybe noon, but at least 8 till 11.
Okay, why don't I get with you when I get this map? I think showing off the new map, this would be a good opportunity to do that. And we can maybe I can get some
I mean, we
brochures
don't have
made
to
up.
worry about the wind blowing or anything, it's
That's right.
inside, so we could have a table with some kind of an easel to hold the map on,
Right,
what do you call it? Not
Yeah.
corkboard, but whatever that is,
yeah,
Poster board?
poster board or whatever.
yeah. Yeah, and you have breakfast too. Yeah,
So there's not an intent to have any type of midway or anything like that this year, as far as
It's-
you know, right?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think they're gonna have fireworks.
Yes,
I
that's a
think so.
given.
It's
Yeah,
The day is the road race, the pancake breakfast,
Yeah.
and fireworks, to
okay,
my knowledge.
okay.
no bouncy house and all of that.
But we'll have the parade, though.
What's that?
There'll be a parade.
I'm not aware of a parade.
Oh, there'll be I would think there'd be a parade.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Oh, wow.
How about we have an event where we give everybody a sledgehammer and they can take a whack at the red building to start the Brentwood demolition? $10 a
As far as this
Raise
committee's
the money.
concerned, though, I think the Rotary breakfast is a good venue
Yes, okay.
for.
That's a good
promotion.
suggestion, and I'll take the action to get that map ready and get these brochures updated, if at all possible, for that event.
Sounds good.
Okay. Right. Okay. One of the, we've got a few more, actually our time's up, but, well, one of the things I put on here for discussion was, the impact of the widening of Effievre Turnpike. That was Michael's suggestion, that we add that on for discussion. I think, his concern is that we're going to get a lot more traffic on Route 3 as this Effie Everett Turnpike widening proceeds. The first piece is started up in Bedford. It's mostly all in Bedford now, I think. Don't think there's any that extends into Merrimack.
Correct.
But getting ready to do some blasting up there and widening, and it's gonna be a big deal. And while that piece may not affect us much, as they come south with other pieces widening, there's gonna be delays on Effie Everett, and there'll be alternates, and Route 3 is their alternate, which is gonna come right the time we're trying to build a bridge over Babusick Brook. But I don't know there's much we can do about it, or what we should be thinking about or planning to do to accommodate this, if we need to do anything.
Right.
uh,
Yeah, my thought is that, well, one, from our perspective, right, if we're kind of protecting the town center, this traffic would certainly impact it, right? It would make it, very unbearable with regards to kind of walking and riding perspective, and just the demand that it would put on the lights and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so if there's a recommendation that we want to make, maybe that if it hasn't already been taken up, and that's where my question starts, is to Kyle, maybe, is just, has there been any discussion about looking at if there will be traffic that could potentially impact the town center, and then also, is there a committee that is forming that is trying to study this or try to understand it further?
Trying to think how to answer the question. So I'll go this route. So the project is managed by DOT. They've broken up the parent project. Is the goal is to widen all of the 2-lane sections to minimum of 3 lanes, so that it's a minimum of 3-lane corridor all the way from the Massachusetts border up to the Route 101 interchange. So that's the goal of the project. And obviously, all the way through Nashua, or most of the way through Nashua is done.
It's done,
Right.
yeah.
They just have the northern part of Nashua, southern part of the Merrimack. So then as far as so that's the parent project. They broke that up into 4 sections. The north section, which Nelson touched on, which is exclusively in Bedford, is now under construction. So that's the first part. The second phase is going to be the southern part. And there's a bridge replacement there, the bridge over the Pennachuck Reservoir, and widening down there in that first stretch from exit 8 north.
Mhm.
And then the middle section is the part that really affects Merrimack the most. It's also the biggest section. They are not completed with final design on that section. And that's going to be broken up into 2 parts. The 2 bridges first, meaning the Babusick Lake Road Bridge and the Wire Road Bridge. Those are state-owned bridges, even though they're on town roads. They carry the town roads over the turnpike, but they're state-owned bridges. The Babusick Bridge is on the red list. Both will be replaced, necessary for the widening, followed by the actual widening of the turnpike. My understanding from talking to the project manager at DOT is the consultant it's a group of consultants working on the project because it is so big. The design is underway. There will be at least one more public meeting in Merrimack where these kind of concerns can be brought up to DOT. And of course, at any time, anyone can reach out to the project manager, Wendy Johnson, and express whatever concerns, and she can relay them to the consultant. And her contact information, if you go to the website F.E. Everett Turnpike Widening.com, I think, you can access that from the DOT website. We'll give you her contact info to send any concerns or clarifications you might have.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I guess if the committee has similar concerns, I can gonna dive into it a little bit, maybe bring back some more thoughts on this, and then if we wanna write her a letter, we could make a decision at some point in
We
a future
can
meeting.
do that,
Yeah.
and especially if we had some concrete suggestions. I did go to the first hearing, and we made some suggestions there which were partly accepted. Ours had to do with putting sidewalks on both sides of the turnpike crossing bridges.
Right,
We got 1.5 of those. They didn't agree, but we could still bring it up again. They
okay,
put sidewalks on both sides of the Babusick Road Bridge. And on the Wire Road Bridge, they only put a sidewalk on one side.
one, okay,
And if we, and I personally still think we should do it at 2 while we're doing it, but that's another thing we can talk about. We've got a few years to do this, I gather. This
Yeah.
thing they're doing right now, it looks like a 2-year project.
Yeah,
There's
there-
a lot of rock there that's
Yeah.
gotta be blasted, yeah.
Yeah, they're all gonna be, coming one after the other. I forget off the top of my head, but I believe the Merrimack projects are in the 05, 06, 07 time.
Yeah, yeah.
Or 25,
Yeah, I
26,
was gonna
27.
say,
Time's fly.
yeah.
yeah, I guess I'm getting curious on, just, I guess this is kind of more of just a resident comment, but just the potential impact that we could feel. It just seems like, maybe it's a sky's falling kind of attitude, but there just seems like the way that when an accident happens out there, how we become the new, highway, and even just coming home from the north, the Bedford Light can create, just a backup just with normal traffic between 4:30 and 5:30. So again, I see lots of people, shortcutting that challenge of dealing with the southbound construction, and us maybe having to take that burden. So if there's some advocacy that the committee can do, or if the town could do now and try to put that effort and cost and mitigation onto DOT, I would love to understand what those ideas might be. And I don't know where in the department maybe some of these thoughts have been taken, but or if you're able to even speak to that at this time, Kyle.
Yeah, we haven't really got into it a whole lot. We focused on the kind of the hardscape kind of stuff.
Understood. Yeah.
Accomplishing the goal. Going back to my point earlier about the letter, this is why stakeholder input is important. Us as engineers in public works, we don't always think of the things the residents that live here do. And that's why we always value that input. Certainly you're right, and I was going to bring up that point as well. Anytime there's an accident on the turnpike, we immediately see the
We
impact
sure
on
do.
Daniel Webster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the project, once completed, will really help that. The next number of years, I'm not sure what the answer is, because, you've got our
Well,
16,000
No
vehicles
alternative.
and their 60,000 vehicles. They're, with Google Maps, Google's gonna tell them which way is the quickest to go, and they're gonna go that way.
Right.
And sometimes that might be staying on the turnpike, sometimes it might be diverting to US 3, or even 3A for that matter. Having the airport access road gives a lot of alternative
Yeah, that's a good idea.
for some folks,
Mm-hmm.
depending where your origin and destinations are.
Yeah.
But it will be an impact.
Yeah.
Any project of that magnitude, there will certainly be impact. And I'm not sure how to mitigate it, particularly to the pedestrian and bicycle side of it,
Right.
because our facilities aren't really made for those
they sure aren't, yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
vehicles yet. We're making progress
Yeah.
with all the work you folks are doing, getting sidewalks, and trying to improve those kind of pedestrian ways. But we're not there yet, and we're not going to be by the time the project happens.
It happens, yeah.
So it'll be a challenge, and And our US 3 bridge project is gonna kind of be at the front end of the turnpike work. So I guess that's good timing
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Okay.
that maybe we'll have our sidewalks in that corridor from the library to Twin Bridge by the time the real heavy turnpike work starts. But it's all kind of happening together,
Yeah.
which is both good and bad.
Yeah.
There is never a good time for
Never a
this.
good time.
And it seems, you know, the history of this, and Nelson would know, having worked in South Nashua for many years at NHQ, where I used to be, right?
Yeah.
During that period of time, traffic used to back up around East Dunstable Road in Nashua. So the backups, due to the widening, has just been pushed farther north. But it's taken 30 years to get like 7 miles,
Yeah.
you know? And so the timing really is never gonna be optimal, but it's something we've gotta work out. And I understand perfectly what Mr. Redding is saying, and I agree. If there's an accident on Route, I'm gonna call it Route 3, on the turnpike, the alternate route, it's gridlock. It is absolute gridlock. And I don't see, well, that's up to better minds than I do, but that's gonna be an outgrowth of what this expansion that should have been done probably 20 years ago, yeah, is gonna really transfer onto the local community here. It's gonna be tough for a couple of years.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's where like the saying of it's got to get worse before it can get better. I think that there's going to be only so much patience for that in town, you know.
it's been worse for so many decades,
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
from one who has traveled that route.
Yeah.
You know, before I started working right down the street in the little greenhouse there, now I don't have to be bothered with the highway. It's really easy. I've got 5 miles to work. It's awesome. You know, but before, I mean, that was a daily occurrence. You know, when can I leave? Should I stay late until after 6:30, or should I, you know, try and get out early? I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And even in Concord, you go through Concord, once they ramp down to 2 lanes, you're trying to get north, everything slams. Be aware, hit your brakes, because it's
Right,
gonna
right.
happen, it's coming fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Nelson, can I suggest we table item E in the interest of, that we've run over here?
I think that's an appropriate thing. We have run over time, and I appreciate everybody hanging in here. We had a few biggies on the agenda today, and so I will say, we'll put that on next month's agenda. Let's set a time for our next meeting. That's the only important piece of business we have to accommodate yet. June, I think we should probably meet before the 4th of July, just so we can nail that down. And that would put us on July 1st.
June 1st or July?
July 1st. June 1st is right around the corner here.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just suggesting that, if anybody has a better idea,
How about the week before that?
I've got no problem with that. That'd be
I'm
June
just
24th.
thinking, and I might be being selfish, but I'm thinking that there could be a lot of people who take that whole week off or whatever.
Be over making pancakes, getting pancake batter ready. So 24th of June sounds like a more acceptable date, and I'm okay with that. I was just trying to give myself as much elbow room, but we'll know where we are with the map by then, and we'll be able to, whatever it is what it is. So shall we say, do I have a motion for doing it on June 24th?
So moved.
Bill Wilks moves,
I'll
Kyle,
sec.
is that a
Sure.
second?
Yep.
Second by Kyle, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all in favor.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay. Moved and seconded to adjourn. Discussion, all in favor? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. 800, yeah.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right.
You too.
You too.
Take care.
Yes.
The new roads look great, Kyle.
Oh, thanks.